Okay, you guys are ready.
Okay, to start?
Yep.
Okay. Welcome to the financial training workshop. This year, we're definitely going to have a challenge, but I know as we move forward, we will learn how to be more adaptive and creative. Presenters today for this workshop are myself, Val Davids, Tammy Durant, and Cindy Russell. Before we start, I just want to make sure everyone is remembering to follow the university's guidelines on COVID-19, which can be found on the ISU main page. All forms for this workshop can also be found on our student organization website. At the end of this presentation, the code and instructions will be given to complete the verification form. That's not working. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties with our slide. So we have the club checklist. This list, I encourage you all to become familiar with it. There are certain things that throughout the year, as a club member, you will want to make sure you're aware of. August is checking your club box, which are located in the Student Leadership and Engagement Center. You'll have your registration form and your authorization sheet. This year, for the Fall Involvement Fair, it is being offered on 4 different days. That information can also be located on our website. The reason we're doing it, we're limiting it to 20 tables per day, and just to keep with physical distancing with COVID-19 this year. September, your club registration is due the 5th Friday, and your authorization sheets. November, you will be able to email your incentive point checklists. January, check for the involvement fair, which will be in February. And in March is when the Caesar and incentive points are due. Throughout the year, make sure as you make deposits that you fill out the matched funding sheet. Complete your event registrations for every event that you have on campus or off campus. These are events that your club is responsible for. Now, if you're just going to an event, you don't have to fill out an event registration form. Fill out your incentive points every time you host an event. Check your mailbox regularly, and your club registration form. If your officers change, please notify us of that change so we can have those forms updated. Club accounts. All clubs are required to have an ISU campus account. There are no exceptions to this rule. There are a few clubs that do have off-campus accounts, but those have strict guidelines, and those were approved by the university. There's certain things that clubs can only spend their funds on, and there are certain things that you can't. You can't purchase any alcohol, firearms, ammunition. Deposits must be donated, and you need to deposit all your money into your club account. Caesar funding. Caesar funding stands for club efforts are supplemented and rewarded. We're going to talk about first is the initial deposit. If you received initial deposit, this would have been, your officers would have applied for it last year. And the requirements are that you attend a financial workshop, a new officer training, and host at least one of the student organization fairs, which can be in the fall or spring. Matched funding. I really encourage everyone to do this match funding. Every time you guys do a deposit, you can fill out a form and hand that form in. This year it is a 3-to-1 ratio with a $500 max. So it's easy money for you guys to get some extra funds. It's really easy. The only things that ASISU will not match are on your club dues. They won't match on that. But if you do any fundraising or selling things, what's some other things I was trying to think? Oh, if you had admission to something or you got a donation, those things can be matched. And if you have any questions, you could talk to our office to see what items can be matched on. New club funding. This is for new clubs that will be starting out this year. They will have to attend the financial training and the new officer training to qualify for that new club funding. This year it is $250. That's the same as the initial deposits that clubs received last year. This new club funding also applies to clubs who have been inactive for 2 or more years. They would be able to apply for this new club funding. Then how do I apply for Caesar funding? Here is the website. You'll go on there and all the forms are under the ISU edu ASISU/funding. You'll find all those forms with instructions giving you instructions on how to do that.
The next thing we're going to talk about is incentive points. So incentive points are basically money that clubs can earn. Basically, there's you'll earn incentive points by going to events and filling out the form. Each point will be assigned a dollar amount. Basically, there's a set amount of money that we have available, and so depending on how many clubs apply, depends on how much each point is worth. You do have to have a minimum of 25 points to receive an allocation of money. Bengal IDs are required. Bengal ID numbers are required on the forms. If there's no Bengal ID number, it will not count. The deadlines for incentive points for this academic year are November 13th, 2020 by 5 p.m. and March 31st, 2021 by 5 p.m. Here are the incentive point forms. So we have the requirements. So the requirements basically just kind of show you the different categories. As you can see, each category has different maximum points, as well as some activities are worth more points than others. And then the incentive points request form is located there on the left. And that's where the Bengal IDs will be required, as well as we do ask that you fill out the form completely in order to make it count. So as you can see, the activities include club events, service with ISU or the community. So that would be like if you guys volunteer to do something like celebrate Idaho State, that's something that ISU puts on. So that would count like as a service event, or if you did any service like in the community. So any ASISU or ISU event, so going to another club that's hosting an event, going to anything that ISU has, like our bingo or any fun activities that we do like that. ISU athletic events, that's self-explanatory. Any kind of athletic event would count for that. And then this semester we're going to have our homecoming events, and so if you are able to attend any of those, and then in the spring we have Spring Fest events. Some years we have it, some years we don't. It'll be dependent upon COVID restrictions and how we're doing at that point in time. So you must have at least one club member in attendance in order for that event to count. And again, you have to have 25 points for it to count for the actual funding allocation. Let's see. So basically, all of the transactions for clubs are supposed to be processed in student leadership and engagement. We're located here on the first floor of this sub. We're right by the Outdoor Adventure Center in the bowling alley. Our hours are 8 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. We can help you with things like your club account balance, your authorized signature forms, and you must make sure that current students have been, we must verify current students before dispersing funds, along with we need a current bingo ID. And Tammy's going to talk about expenses.
Hi, this is Tammy, and I'm talking about paying expenses. A request for payment form must be turned in with the 2 authorized signatures in order to process any transaction. Authorized signers are listed on the authorized signature forms that is turned into the Student Leadership and Engagement Center. This form can be updated throughout the year. You can take people off, add people on. All signatures are verified on all requests for payment forms. If the signatures don't match or the names are not on the authorized signature form, we will not process the payment until that is corrected. And advisors can only be 1 signature on the form. 1 student must be on the form. This is the request for payment form. This form can be picked up at the Student Leadership and Engagement Center or completed online at our isu.edu/clubs. This must be signed by 2 of the authorized signatures as shown on the bottom. This form must be presented for any financial transaction for the club. This is the authorized signature form. You must be an officer of the club to be on this form. Only individuals listed on this form can sign the request for a payment form, no exceptions. Signatures will be verified from this form. This form can be updated at any time, and you must have at least 2 signers on any form. Cash reimbursements. Examples of reimbursements are purchasing refreshments for club meetings, the purchase of supplies for a club event or activity. Those are the main reimbursements that we see. There's a $200 limit on cash reimbursements. Receipts will not be accepted that are handwritten or do not have the business name and information listed. All receipts must be itemized to show what was purchased. Now, how to get a cash reimbursement. First, complete the request for payment form. Second, present original itemized receipts. 3, must have a current Bengal ID card with you. Only current students can receive a cash reimbursement. And payments made with food stamps will not be reimbursed. Cash advances. Cash advances are when money is taken out of the club account in advance to pay for club expenses. There's a $200 limit on the cash advance. Only 1 cash advance can be out at any one time per club. How to get a cash advance. Before you purchase, complete a request for payment form and bring to the Student Leadership and Engagement Center along with a current Bengal ID card. Receive the cash advance from the ASISU financial technician, Cindy Russell. Now, the person who gets the cash advance must be the person who brings back the receipts in order to close out the transaction. So after you do the purchase, you bring all of the receipts and any leftover money back to our office within 2 business days. Receipts. All receipts must show the items purchased and the payment method, whether it's cash or debit card or credit card. All restaurant receipts must be itemized or be accompanied by a written ticket listing the meal items. An example is El Heredero restaurant here in Pocatello. They'll give you the credit card receipt and then write you out a ticket showing what items were purchased. Any alcoholic beverages on restaurant receipts will be deducted off. Receipts must show the name of the business. No handwritten receipts will be accepted. Any receipt turned in past 6 months out will not be eligible to be reimbursed. Printed screenshots from phones are not valid receipts if they don't show the payment information, items purchased, and company name. If you are emailed the receipt, please print it out in full or forward it to dirtama@isu.edu along with your request for payment form. The on-campus vendor verification form, you must complete a request for payment form. You must complete this prior to making reservations, purchases, or commitments with an on-campus vendor. I will provide the club with the on-campus vendor verification form, which is the green slip shown. Do not pay cash at any of these vendors on campus, especially the Total Copy Center, the Mail Center, Motor Pool, Game Center, the Bengal newspaper, the bookstore, outdoor adventure center, craft shop, or campus recreation. Bring back the receipt to the Student Leadership and Engagement Center. And if you pay cash at one of these vendors and present it for a reimbursement, you cannot receive a cash reimbursement. It must be reimbursed through a university check to you. Paying with cash restrictions. Any reimbursements over $200 will be reimbursed with a university check. The request for payment form must be completed, including the name, Bengal card number, and address. Request for reimbursement form must also be completed. A W-9 form is needed for vendors or individuals not in the ISU system. For example, if you are just a student, non-student, or non-faculty or staff. The approval process. The account director signs, then the university business officer, and finally accounts payable to be reviewed and processed. These checks take up to 20 days to process. Plan ahead if you need a check by a certain date. Oops, skipped one. Okay, prizes and awards. Students will not be reimbursed for the purchase of the prizes using club funds until the completed documentation is turned in. This is ISU policy, no exceptions. If documentation is not turned in, the reimbursement will be frozen until the documentation is received. The prize reimbursement. This is a form that is filled out when a prize is purchased using club funds and is given as a prize during, for example, a raffle or a drawing. A W-9 must be filled out by the winner, or a W-8 BEN form must be filled out by an international student. These forms are available in the Student Leadership and Engagement Center and also on our website. Please complete the non-cash prize or award documentation form. Have the forms filled out and ready to go at the event and to give to the winner before they receive the prize. And double check the forms to make sure the prize form and W-9 are completely filled out. And this includes the Social Security number. If the prize has been donated to the club, the prize and award form is not needed. This is an example of what the prize and award form looks like. Please fill it out completely. The purchasing card. I have a university P-card credit card for online purchases. You must have a request for payment form, the name of the website or web address or an invoice, the description and price on items to be ordered, and any medical supplies for clinics must be purchased through approved university contract vendors. Please contact me prior to ordering these supplies. Purchases made on the P-card are tax exempt in the state of Idaho. This is an example of something we can do for you as your club to keep you from having to use your own student funds. So if you're going to be purchasing online, please talk to me about that before you make the purchase. Okay, the purchasing card restrictions. Only myself, Tammy Durant, is authorized to make P-card purchases for student clubs and reconcile purchases to club indexes. Departments and advisors are not authorized to make purchases for the clubs. If you have any questions about that, please contact me. If after 10 calendar days, the proper authorization paperwork has not been provided, the charges will be reversed if a department or advisor makes that purchase. My per transaction limit is $2,500, and the P-card may not be used for any travel except to pay for registration for conferences only. Requisitions and purchase orders. These are used for purchases over $2,500. You will complete a request for payment form. The requisition is a purchase order is when a vendor requests a purchase order to order goods and services. This usually is with medical purchasing for student clubs that have clinics. Okay, student travel by Val.
So we're going to talk about student travel. Due to the COVID-19 this year, there are going to be some restrictions. So all club travel must be pre-approved, no exceptions. And then you will schedule a meeting with myself, and we will talk about the place that you will be traveling. So it is very, very important that this information gets out to all club members that it has to be pre-approved. Once it is approved, you will complete a request for payment form, and then you will also complete the travel portion. Now, there's two ways we can do this. I would hope, if you got enough time in advance, that we can do a travel advance. That way you would have a check and you're not having to put out money before your travel. So right now we're going to talk about the travel advance, and we need at least 28 days. And then checks will not be issued more than 60 days. Now, Tammy talked about if you were going to a conference, and sometimes those conference fees have to be paid ahead of time. We can pay for a conference fee with the purchasing card. However, that is the only thing that we have been authorized to pay with the purchasing card. So we can, once we have that meeting with myself, we can find out what we can do ahead of time for you. Now, with the travel advance, you only need to, it's an estimate of what, if you're going to have airfare, registration, meals, lodging, gas, mileage, ground transportation, and parking. Those are estimates. I don't need to have, the final invoices, but it is an estimate. Once we get that estimate, we will send out for you to sign through Adobe Sign for the travel advance. We'll send that out to you. Once that has been processed, we will put a date on there for you to pick up the check from accounting and administration building on the second floor. After travel, you must bring all final receipts within 5 days to our office so we can close out that travel advance. If receipts are not returned, a hold will be placed on your club account and possibly on your personal account. Receipts must show payment method and a zero balance. So we can't have something that your hotel still showing that you owe for it. So we need to know how it was paid, if it was credit card or cash. A travel reimbursement. Travel reimbursements can happen after the trip. After every travel, or I should say, after every travel, you will have to complete a travel reimbursement. So you'll fill out, if you did not do a travel advance, you will fill out the request for payment. And once again, you would fill out that travel portion there. And then you will attach the final receipts. So you would bring in your receipts for airfare, gas, ground travel, meals. And on your meals, please make sure that if you are paying for meals and your group has decided that you guys can pay for meals, that there is no alcohol on there. We will take that alcohol off, and whoever paid for that will be responsible for that payment themselves. Once again, once we have that travel reimbursement, we will send that out through Adobe Sign. And then once all signatures have been attained, accounting will process a check and mail it to you. Please make sure you type in the address that you want your check sent to. And this says don't confuse this with a cash reimbursement. So keep in mind, if you have traveled and you're coming into our office and you want to be reimbursed, we cannot just give you cash like a cash reimbursement. This will have to go through a travel reimbursement. And so there's a difference in how we account for that. But like I said, please make sure this year that all travel has to be pre-approved. Here's some examples of travel receipts. Airline, personal car mileage. If you're going to take your car, we'll need to know your license plate. A receipt showing where you went. So sometimes we'll have groups that may have a meeting in Idaho Falls and they've taken their car. We had to have something showing that you really did go to Idaho Falls. So maybe go in and get a soda or a coffee or something that shows that you were really in Idaho Falls on that date, if you don't have any other receipts. Rental car fees and gas, lodging, indicate if the lodging expense is split with other travelers. Per diem meals, this is up to you guys. You can do per diems or you can pay for meals. When we have that meeting, we can determine how you guys are going to do that if your group has allowed that. If you're doing per diem, there is no receipts needed, but there are some other forms that we had to have signed off. If giving money to a club member for meals, a written statement must be submitted with the authorized signatures and the name of the student and the amount given. Registration, ground transportation, this is buses, shuttles, whatever. We had to have some receipt showing how that was paid. There may be times that we may require your minutes as documentation that everyone in the group has, is aware of this travel. If your club is not recording the minutes, get someone to record your minutes. We'll talk about this in new officer training, but minutes are there to protect you, the club, and the university. We don't require them, but if we have questions, we may ask them at any time. So please make sure you guys are doing minutes when you're making decisions, whether that's travel or purchasing items. Motor pool. You may use motor pool vehicles when traveling as a club. You're not required to do so, but you would come in and meet with me. There are certain forms and that I have to have completed. A driver's license record check authorization form has to be done, vehicle use agreement form, and a motor pool request form. Also, please remember when we're doing that driver's license check, students who are out of the state of Idaho, there will be a charge to your club to have those licenses approved by another state. Gas for motor pool vehicles is put on the motor pool gas card. So if you're taking a motor pool, that would go on your the gas card there. We hope there's never an accident, but if there was, your club would be responsible for the $500 deductible. Individuals, you guys are responsible for any medical expenses. Also with the motor pool, using a motor pool, you would still fill out a request for payment form with some approximations of where you're going and you can get and how much it'll cost. Transportation would be able to give you that information as you reserve your vehicle. Honorariums. Honorariums is a contract is required for anyone coming to campus to perform for any of these services. Speakers, artists, guest instructors, sports officials, dance DJs, bands, anyone else performing some sort of service. Do not pay cash for anything that should be paid by an honorarium. I can assist you with the contract process. It's very easy. I just give you a worksheet and we take care of getting it out to whoever you are paying. Please remember that students and advisors cannot create or sign any contract. And by doing so, you are making yourself or your advisor would be making themselves personally liable for any of those expenses. So please keep in mind that there are certain individuals at the university who are authorized to sign. To do an honorarium, you're going to complete a request for payment form. And when we do contracts, they're all inclusive. So that means they're inclusive of travel, meals, lodging, and the fee that you're going to pay them. If the speaker is part of the university, payment must go through the payroll system. Or if you're paying another student for some sort of service, it all has to go through the payroll system. If they're not part of the university, we need 20 business days to process the documentation. That means that we have everything completed 20 days prior. So please come talk to me if you're interested in paying for someone, and I can help you through that process.
Okay, so conflict of interest. I'm just going to read this. So the State Board of Education gives the following in its policies and procedures. Conflict of interest occurs when a person's private interest competes with his or her professional obligations to the board governed entity to a degree that an independent observer might reasonably question whether the person's professional actions or decisions are materially affected by personal considerations, including but not limited to personal gain, financial or otherwise. ISU is considered a board-governed entity. To avoid a conflict of interest, please do not purchase items from your club, for your club from immediate family or close friends. The state of Idaho has ruled that all monies which flow through the university are subject to Idaho state spending guidelines. All funds deposited into the university, regardless of source, are university funds and must be handled in accordance with the university policy. All right, so if your club decides to do a fundraiser and you want to get a cash box, we have those available in our office. You'll need to complete a request for payment form, present that to Tammy Durant, so that we can verify that the club information and the funds are in your account. And then I, Cindy Russell, will be the one dispensing the change funds. So basically you must turn it in at least one business day before the event. I do have a limited amount of funds, and so I do want to make sure that I have the funds available for your club, as well as any other club that wants to come in. If you're selling tickets in the weeks prior, the sales must be deposited nightly, but the change fund can be kept for up to 2 weeks. We just don't want you guys to have a lot of extra cash laying around, so we do ask that you make those deposits in a prompt manner. So the deposits can be made here at the Student Leadership and Engagement Center, or if it's after hours, we do have a safe drop box. It's across the hall from room 211 on the second floor of the sub, so that's just kind of in that little hallway across from the Total Copy Center. Please do not deposit the change fund into your club account. If that does happen, then you have to do a request for payment form in order to pay back the funds to the change fund. And so, like I mentioned before, deposits, all deposits should be made here at the Student Leadership Engagement Center. We do not accept credit cards. Please make deposits in a timely manner. Do not hold on to cash. Checks are only good for 90 days, so please make sure you deposit those as soon as possible. Do not pay your expenses from the cash deposits. And on-campus departments can transfer funds directly into your club account. And then if you have a bunch of coins, if you could roll them, that would be appreciated. So here is an example of the club deposit form. So you would just need to fill out this form. And as you can see, there are 2 club signatures that we require from your club, and then I will be the verification signature. So these forms are located in our office as well as online at isu.edu/clubs. Again, deposits can be made Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And the after hours deposit is right there in the second floor of the sub across from room 211. So please go ahead and when you make the club deposit, there's a little half wall that you can go around, and there is the forms as well as a pen, so that way you can follow the instructions and fill out the information on the bag and then put it in the drop box. That way I know whose club it is, as well as you should include this deposit form when you do the after hours drop, just so that way I know who the money belongs to, because unidentified money is not going to do anyone any good. So on deposits, there are certain things that you can do fundraiser wise that are required to pay Idaho state sales tax. So if you do any garage sales, admissions, t-shirt sales, welcome finals baskets, space rentals, class note sales, food sales, book sales, any other kind of merchandise sales that you guys would do. So if you say, deposit like $106, then, $6 will be taken out for tax, that type of thing. And I will be able to determine that using a calculator, so that way it will be exact. And then those funds will be deposited into your account, and then they will be paid once a month to the state of Idaho. So just know that, if you do a taxable sales, then you won't necessarily get all the money from that sale. Taxes will be taken out. And so we do have, if you're doing a fundraiser and you would like to, or any kind of payment accepting, and you want to use a credit card, we actually have the option to set up a U-Store/TouchNet account here through the university, and I would help you out with that. Basically, this online payment system can be used for things like conference registration, like if your club is hosting a conference and you want people to register. If you're doing ticket sales for an event, donations, raffles, auction, any kind of fundraising you do on or off campus, or even if you want to have your club payments or your club membership dues, if you want to have them pay online, we can do that. We do suggest you fill out the paperwork 30 days prior to the start date because it can take up to 30 days to create these. And so, of course, you can do credit cards. We have a card swipe machine that is available to loan out. Also, the U-Store is set up so that it's a link that you can just post and people click on the link and then they can put in their credit card information. And then receipts are emailed to the donor or the customer. And then we have club transaction reports. So each month, at the beginning of the month, I reconcile for the previous month. And then that's when your account is reviewed. And then once it's done being reviewed, then we stick it in your club mailbox. Here's an example of kind of what it looks like. We have it separated out into the different categories that ISU uses for expenses. And then anytime, if you're just like, randomly just want to know what's my club account balance, we can print you out one of these transaction reports. Just go ahead and come on into our office, or you can even email us. We can send a PDF copy of your transaction report, so that way you can know where your club stands at any given time.
So we have now just about completed all of our training. So here's just some things not to forget. Check your club mailbox on a regular basis. Please make sure you get a W-9 and an ISU non-cash prize form for winners of gift cards and raffle prizes prior to your event. Makes it much easier than trying to track it down. Original itemized receipts for all transactions. Contracts require for all speakers and performers, including bands, DJs. Incentive points are due Friday, November 13th. Initial deposit requests are due on March 18th by 5. Some important things. Club registration forms and all paperwork for clubs must have the correct name of the club on it stated in your constitution. Now, here's an example. This club is no longer here, but we had a club, and they referred to themselves as the Zombies Club. However, on their constitution, it was Zombie Emergency and Disaster Club. So we need you for our records. It really helps us that you put your name that is on your constitution. Now, for some reason, if you want to update your constitution, change your name, come talk to me. I can help you through that process. Club accounts are not allowed to be overdrawn. That is a real big thing that we will watch. If they are overdrawn, your club will not be able to, will lose some of its privileges. So reimbursements will not be done. Your P card payments made in the account balance isn't significant. Keep track of all your finances, especially when you have a large event you are planning. One other thing I wanted to make sure you guys know about this year is just, like I said, it's going to be a real challenge for us. And I appreciate all you guys being so able to adapt to this and being creative with your events. I know there's a lot of students out there who, it's a challenge, but please come talk to me about your events. I know in Meridian, they were able to do a fun run. A lot of things are being done through Zoom. So let's, come and talk to me about some of your ideas. There are, currently as we do this presentation, gatherings of over 100 people. But there are things I can help you with. So let's come and talk about some of your ideas and see if we can make them work. Now, since you've reached the end of this presentation, you will be able to go to the student organization website. You will find the financial verification form, and you will click on that form, and the password will be leadership1. So LEADERSHIP number 1. So once you have completed that, please go on there, and then we can record that you have I guess, listened, not really got to see us. That's kind of the sad part. We don't get to see you. You don't get to see us. So, but if you have any questions, we thank you for Zooming in with us. So please contact us with any of your questions.